Hi students, welcome to Reading Workshop. I hope you're loving fantasy and your fantasy books. So I want you to think about, as we've been learning about fantasy is more than just an adventure. Whether you're reading The Lightning Thief, whether you're reading Harry Potter, whether you just read with us The Thief of Always, The Magician's Elephant, Half Magic, so many amazing fantasy books. But something I want you to remember, that it's really about the journey that the character faces. How many of you feel like that when you're reading? When we were reading The Thief of Always, I felt like I was Harvey. Did you ever feel like that? The authors are writing these books to teach you important lessons about life. So I want you to keep that in mind as we go on today, because we're going to think about how these life lessons apply to our life. Fantasy readers pay attention to the themes and life lessons in the story that might apply to their own lives. Ask ourselves, what lessons do the characters learn? What do these lessons teach us? And I want you to think, how could these lessons be important in my own life? I wonder, did you ever think about that? Like, how your character in your book, how can that be important in your life? What could you learn from them? That's what's so special about fantasy. I made a little chart to keep track of your work. So we want to identify the lessons, what the character learns. So we notice that Harvey goes back to the house to get back his years, but to rescue the other children. So we're kind of seeing this different side of Harvey, right? So what was my takeaway from that moment? So Harvey was so brave during that moment. He was selfish and kind of self-centered in the beginning of the book. How many of you thought that? I thought for sure. I was like, he's never going to be friends with Wendell. But turns out, I was so wrong. I thought about how he changed. He wasn't just thinking about himself now. He wanted to go back there to save the other kids and to get his years back because he wasted so much time. Now, in my own life, how is that an important lesson? How can that teach me something? So how are these important lessons in my life? Like, what's the bigger idea here that this fantasy book and this fantasy character is trying to teach me? So the most important part is to realize you can make mistakes and still pick yourself up and do better. Harvey made a lot of mistakes at the beginning, but now he's beginning to be a better person, right? Like, we see this dramatic change. Well, at least I do. I'm sure you all agree. In the beginning of the story, he couldn't wait to attack Wendell at nighttime, right? When he got turned into that creature. And it makes me realize that in life, it's okay to make mistakes and to learn from them. But that's the key. We need to learn from them and not dwell on it. Pick yourself up and do better now that you know. Something else I want to mention, that in 5th grade, there's going to be multiple themes in a text you're reading. So don't think this is the only important lesson that was learned, only important theme. This is just one of many themes we can come up with from The Thief of Always. And you guys are going to come up with your own themes for your fantasy book clubs. So, success criteria. When you guys are going off to do this work, and after you complete your chart, you want to turn that into writing about reading. So what do you need to do to be successful today? I named the lesson from the story. I said how it connected to my own life with an example or possible scenario. I talked about how I can learn from the lesson or what should I do in the future, I left my reader with something to think about related to the lesson. That's kind of like that big idea, right? There's a little exemplar of some writing about reading, and you will try. Okay, readers, off you go. Can't wait to read your work.